Okay, we're on the air.
Well, always reminds me of that SCTV thing. Just always. So, hi. How are
Oh,
you?
not bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
physically,
What's
I'm
what's
not
the
bad.
weather there?
Variable. Uh, we were just below zero last night. We had a tenth of a millimeter of, very, very light snow. But it was 17 degrees yesterday or the day before. It's
Hmm,
spring-like.
not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad. Interesting.
Yeah.
I keep getting notices on my phone about severe weather because I guess Niagara's getting some rain and then some
Yeah.
snow and then yeah, so that's kind of
We
happening.
did have a batch of heavy rain. We've got about a 60 foot by 60 foot dog pen out here for our puppies. Well, they're not puppies anymore, and right now it's a bit of a mud bath.
Oh, got it. Okay, you don't want that. No, so
So
we had a few days here. I'm still in Italy, obviously.
yeah.
Um, But we had a few days of heavy rain, and they had some flooding around here a few years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever they get like 3 or 4 days of heavy rains, they get a little nervous
Yeah.
because of the flooding. But the other day I got out of my car, it was 24 and sunny, and
Nice.
this is a window behind me here,
Yep.
right there. Yeah, and it's 23 today and
Nice.
sunny.
Right.
But there's a nice breeze, so
Oh, that's
it's
good.
not terrible, and it
Yeah.
gets down to 8 at night, so there's a nice temperature at night for sleeping. So,
That's pretty good. Yeah.
but yeah, 23 today, 24 yesterday, 22 the day before. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We're looking at a high of 5 degrees today. Um, we got about 3, 4 days like that. Thursday we're back up to 17. Yeah.
I was in the garden. We're recording this on Easter Monday. Um, it's a holiday here. Like
Yeah.
Easter Sunday, Monday, it is a holiday. Saturday they're wide open, and Friday they're wide open, which
Huh.
I thought was weird because Friday we're closed,
Yeah.
Saturday we're open, and then Sunday and Monday here it's like forget it. Like don't go to the store, don't go anywhere, stay home,
Well, I
be
guess
with
that lets
family.
them stick 2 days right beside each other.
Yeah.
Because here it's
So
like you're off, you're on, you're off, you're on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting around here.
Yeah.
So like Monday, I was told, I was like, oh, we can go grocery shopping on Monday. No, you can't go anywhere. So stay home. don't
Yeah.
don't do what you think you wanted to do. Do something else.
Right.
So I was in actually a garden having lunch, and there were buds on the trees, like not just buds, but actual leaves were popping out.
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting
So
early buds. Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
here I don't think they're gonna have a problem with frost.
Hmm.
You guys might. So
Yeah. Well, the rule is wait for the May 2/4 weekend before
May
you
two
put
four
anything
is
in the
the
ground.
do it all. So we're a few weeks away from the May 2-4. I've
Yes.
got goals for May, um, or that I want to finish in April, which I know I'm going to be pushing into May because
Right.
that's all I ever do. And by the way, you got me on the day before my haircut. Like I'm
Ah.
having an Italian hairdresser come in,
Ah.
and you always feel better after an Italian haircut. I don't know if you know that. You can get
Okay.
anybody can do your hair, but after an Italian haircut, just somehow you feel a little more European.
Interesting. Because pretty much every barber I've had in Toronto was Italian.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I'm just saying. So
I'm not sure how it's
yeah,
different.
it's different when you get it done here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why. It's just
I
I
don't
I
know.
am I am told by my girlfriend that I look better.
Ah.
Ophelia says you look better. Like I can get the same haircut in Niagara,
Of
but
course.
and like I asked the hairdresser, I said, what did you do? And she'll tell me, and then I'll go home and I'll tell them exactly what to. But Ophelia's always like, you look better here. Yeah. So
It's the light. Yeah.
yeah, it's the light, it's the sun, it's the Italian air
Are there,
somehow.
like, when you come back, are there import duties on Italian haircuts?
I don't know. I'd have to
Okay.
check. I hope not. It's The orange pumpkin has not hit the haircuts yet. I don't think. So.
I'm surprised, actually.
So, who wants to start this week and say what they've accomplished? Who
Well,
wants to
I can
start,
make
and I'll
it
tell you what your
short.
goals were.
I I had a rough week, a rough 2 weeks.
All right. So we'll have you
Oh, excuse me.
start, and let me see now. You had some goals of character development. You had
Yeah,
goals of ending scenes, or and coming up with an ending.
yeah.
And you were torn between two things. If I remember correctly, it was
Two
something to do with
approaches. Yeah,
approaches.
plot it or just go for it. Yeah.
And what was the decision on that? I'd like to hear. Or
Um,
have you not done anything?
the decision on that was I never got to it.
Okay, so
I
it's
mean,
been a rough
I
week, you said.
I had two truly shitty weeks. It took me the better part of a week to post our last episode. Right? You got
I
it.
was noticing that. I know you said you had some stuff to do.
I got it edited up and got your copy out, but it took forever to get mine around, and I just took forever to post it. My write-ups were uninspired. I went to Substack and said, "Fuck this! I'm not posting on Substack anymore." So,
So
you
we
know,
should talk about that because that's going to be our hook this week, and that's an interest. I'm going to put a pin in that one
yeah,
because I would like to hear your thoughts on that, and maybe
yeah,
so would listeners. So,
yeah.
um,
Um,
uh,
and
but
then
so yeah,
finally, sort of Wednesday this week, I actually got back to doing some work. Um, I posted on Mastodon what my week was. Let me grab it and see if. Okay, so I had the scene that I wanted to write, and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do with it, and I got stuck. And this is after like 10 days of being stuck. So I'm like, screw it. I'll move to another scene that needs to be written. I'll write that instead. So I write that, and
how the
when
hell
I
do
get
you
it
do
done,
that?
hmm?
How the hell do you do that? Like you just went to a completely different scene. You're not even
Yeah. Well,
like
it's the
I
same.
write linearly. I like in a linear line. Like the
But,
story continues along the linear line. Scenes dip in and out. They go, but everything's on the linear. I don't know how you just go. Skip that. We're going to go to here.
but I got three plots, so it's just like go down here and do the plot.
I have a variety of characters doing a variety of different things. Yes, I've got plots too. I don't write. I don't write each storyline separately. I go, where do I want to go?
Yeah,
Right?
but
So I'm like, do I want to talk about the detectives? Do I want to deal with the guy who's in trouble? Do I want to deal with the cab driver? That kind of thing.
okay. So I'm going to get
How do
into
you
the
just
nitty
go? I
gritty.
want to deal in a different storyline.
I have this scene where there's an informant who's
You know,
watching what's going on with my main characters. I've written that scene, but I haven't written the scenes where that informant gets engaged by the cops. So it's like I should go back and fill that in so I know exactly what I'm doing down here, right?
you're just hopping around in this thing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to make all the threads nice and pretty and then get into the goddamn ending.
You okay? I don't know, but you have got to stop hopping around and just write this
Oh,
damn thing. Like
but wait,
write it in a linear way that makes sense to you, and then go back.
this is this is just the beginning. So I write this scene, okay? And I look at it and I go, this is actually the scene that I skipped. So I pull it out and move it up into the first scene that I was supposed to be writing. And then I go, this thing just needs a little setup. So I have to now add a scene a little bit earlier and write the setup for this one, right? Just tie everything together. And so I write that, and it needs a setup. So I think I go back a little bit and I start writing, the setup scene. And I realize the setup scene is actually the second one I needed to write. And that one doesn't need a setup. So I cut it out, put it back in over there. And then I go back down and start writing.
I don't know how you do this. Like Jesus, you're making yourself Jesus on the cross, for God's sake.
But
Just write the
now
goddamn thing.
all the threads are sort of hanging together. Everybody knows what's going on, who's supposed to know, and the people who don't know. And I get
I'm afraid to tell you about my week now. I am so afraid to tell you what I got up to. All right, so Wednesday you got this second wind or whatever.
I don't know if I'd call it a wind or not, but at least I started putting words down.
Okay.
And it was obviously complicated and slow, so I didn't write a lot of words. I mean, my word count from the last time we reported was up 728. Now,
So
there's probably another 1,000 that got written and deleted. But, yeah.
okay, so we'll hit goals at some point here, but so 728. You know what? That's not. It's not a terrible week or 2
No.
weeks, I guess.
Actually, of all the weeks we've checked in, that's the worst. By 20 words.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that you were doing, you've added 4 weeks ago. You added 2872.
Right.
Yeah. And then you got into this editing phase.
Right.
And,
Yeah, I did a whole review, so there wasn't anything added. Yeah.
On the 24th, you were 684. So you know what? You got to look at that as your low water mark. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At any rate,
Oh.
at this point, it's not how many words. Am I set up so that I can write Act 3? And, I'm crossing my fingers that when the dam bursts, I'm going to write a lot of words.
So basically, I'm going to write here, waiting for dam to burst. That's the big takeaway from this week. Is that what I'm getting?
I think the good news is I have very little to get organized before I am actually writing the ending. Like the unwritten scenes are very few before Act 3. So.
All right. Are you
And my
finished
total
with your
total
terrible,
is-
very bad week or whatever that book
Yeah.
was called?
my word count 76,391.
Oh, that is 76 391.
Yep.
Okay, that's the word count. Okay. All right. Well, here's what my week was. So we had talked a while about this write-a-thon.
Yes.
Or write-a-palooza, as I thought it was. They write-a-thoned it, and so the funny part is, so they kept telling us it was coming. There'd be a Zoom meeting just before, and so that was March. So on March 30th, they announced there was a Zoom meeting coming to launch it, and I remember writing in going, "Well, you better have it soon because you don't have much time." I don't know if a Zoom meeting happened. It may have happened, but I don't know if it did. But they suddenly, like literally on the 31st, late in the day, they published this chart that you had to put in what word count you wanted to hit. So for some reason, I said I want to hit 50,000 words in a month. So that's what I went with. And then every day you have to put in your words written, and then it tells you the percentage you are towards your count.
Right.
So, I'm telling you, I'm in a very uncomfortable spot at the moment because I'm editing as well as writing something new. I prefer the writing part, but the editing is, I'll have to say, the editing is coming along.
Good.
I've lost, since the last time we spoke, I've lost another 1,351 words. I think I'm tightening the story a little bit, and I've already developed a couple of new paths while doing this kind of rewrite edit. So I'm happy about that. The new story, which I just started on the 1st of April. I've written 7,182 words. I'm at 14% of the goal towards 50,000. So, and it is a total seat of the pants. I have no idea what I'm writing. I I get in the morning. I usually like to write at a desk, but for some reason I can't seem to get behind writing up here. So I end up in the bedroom on the bed writing.
Ah.
So very and across the bed, like not with facing the pillow, but totally across. So it's against the grain, I guess. And I start by I don't even know where I am or what I'm doing, and somehow I end up with a bunch of really good stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is a pretty interesting story from a story that I had no idea how it was going to go.
Good.
So I've got all kinds of great characters. I've made all kinds of backstories. I literally end each day on some sort of cliffhanger to myself. Right. So it's just, and I just make a couple of notes in the margin and go, good luck to you tomorrow. figuring out how everybody gets out of that. So I also met with my web designer for my writer's website and the cover designer. So we'll see how that comes along. So cool. that was a busy week, 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah,
but
sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a lot of writing. Anyway, that's what I've done. So, but I swear to God, I am so. I like the other day. The guy needs a lawyer, so he walks into a lawyer's office, and it turns out it's his half brother, whom I didn't know because I just decided because his last name is Bentley, so I made the law firm Barnes and Bentley. I don't know why it's Barnes and Bentley, but it sounded funny in my head. So that comes up, and then the cab driver he's with. Don't ask how the cab driver gets involved. The cab driver he is with says to him, "Are you related to the Bentley?" He goes, "Yeah, he's my half brother." So then I have to come up with how he ends up with a half brother. I'm just making up shit as I go along. It really is just I don't know. Okay. So, all right. So that being said, there's got to be goals for this week.
Right.
2 weeks. And since you started, maybe I'll start the goals. I guess. I obviously have to keep writing this new story. I have to keep editing. My goal is to. I think the goal for last time was by the end of April to finish the edits, to repitch, and to have the new story done by the end of April. So it seems like I've got a lot on my plate for April.
Indeed.
So keep edits for April, and but as I said, I think the edit's probably going to be pushed into May. I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I can't keep writing and editing. It's a long slog because I need time between each. I don't know if you're the same. I don't know if you do that kind of thing, write and edit. But I need time to get out of one story and into the next story, so I give myself a couple of hours. And by that time, it's either in the afternoon. You're like, I don't feel like doing shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not multiplexing on stories. I'm just trying to get this one in the can.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I've decided to. Well, I like a challenge. I like the idea of a write-a-thon.
Yeah.
I do like putting a story together. I hate the other part. I hate the editing. I really do. If I could slough off the editing to somebody else immediately, I'd love it. But I realize that you have to go through your own edits.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you're pantsing. There's got to be a whole bunch of threads you need to tie up. I mean, you do the process that I'm going through after the fact, right? Yeah. But
at the end of the whole story, then I reread it. I print it. I leave it alone. I print it. I'll edit it. I think I'm on my fifth edit on the book I'm dealing with now.
Yeah.
I would really like to not do 5 edits per book. I would like to
Yeah.
do maybe a
Yeah.
couple and then
Yeah.
and put it off on somebody else's plate. And what I wish I had done probably is, we've talked about it before, that pro writing aid. I think it's called a manuscript analysis.
Right.
And I have found that probably more helpful than any of the edits that I've done previously.
Right. Yeah.
So I would probably go down that. I would probably do an edit, then have them, do the manuscript analysis, edit again, and then put it in somebody else's hands. If I can get to that point, I would be very happy. So that I'm only doing 2 edits instead of 5 or 6. That would be that's a goal, but that's a goal for a bunch of other. That's a bunch of other books down the road.
Yeah. I can't understand the Heinlein philosophy of, like, don't edit it unless an editor demands a change. It's like, no.
Yeah, that would be tough, because, as you said, as a pantser, I know I've got holes, and I do an edit. So we've discussed this before. I write, then the next morning I read it into my letterly, and then I do another edit based on that.
Right.
So that by the time it gets onto my writing program, I've written it, read it, so I think it sounds okay, and then I edit again, and I probably add another 50 to 100 words on that edit, just based on holes that I've discovered in the plot while reading.
Right. Yeah.
Because you read it and you go, "Oh, that's a hole. Well, I better fix that up when I get to the." Because I just don't do it by the seat of my pants at that moment.
Right.
While you're writing it, while you're reading it, I want to get it into the program, and then deal with it again while editing.
Yeah, I don't think I can say how many edit cycles I really go through, because I'll write something and then I'll reread it and I'll tweak it, and then I'll leave it alone, go to something else, but I'll have to reference back, and I'll go back and look at it again, and I'll go, "Oh no, that's not quite right," and I'll tweak it again. Like,
see, that would drive me mental, because it would get me it would get me out of the flow of the story.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Yeah.
And I like being in the flow of the story. I like getting up in the morning. I like going, okay, no, I'm going to revisit these characters. Whose voice am I going to hear in my head this morning?
Yeah.
Is it the guy? Is it the cabbie? Is it the cops? Is it the lawyer? Is it, who is it that's going to be talking to me today?
Yeah.
And then sometimes when I do one of them, I end up in the other guys, and I'm like, oh shit, well, I could write a second today. So I get like 2 or 3 chapters. Now, this morning I did a backstory that must have been about 10 pages or more long. Nice. And then I started back into the lawyer's realm, and I wrote a half page of that, and I thought, no, I have no idea exactly where I'm going, but I know I'm now going to be in the lawyer's shoes tomorrow morning.
Right.
So
yeah.
I got to get my law degree overnight. I don't know if you know that.
Well, that first scene and that mess of stuff that I went through last week, I've got a character, and she's got a husband who's a minor character that's there to just help define her character. And I wound up writing this thing that was kind of more about the husband. And, I got, I don't know, a couple of 100 words into it. And I went, this just doesn't make any sense to the story. It's lovely. You talk about falling in love with stuff. Remember we had that? What do you do? I just looked at it and went, I really don't love this. I deleted it. It's not even in the trash bin. It's just gone, because it didn't advance the story. It did something else on the side that didn't really contribute a lot. So that was inline editing. Goodbye. Done.
Yeah, I find that hard to do. I usually add more than I strip out on one of those two initial edits.
Yeah. And I was just like, no, this is just a completely wrong approach to this scene, and rewrote it. And then that's the one where it turned out that was the one that I skipped. Right? That's like, okay, no, this is actually that. Let me put it there. And it fits.
See, I would write something even as a placeholder, knowing that I have to come back and write that.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm filling in placeholders. Right?
You know what? I'm not 100% thrilled by that, but I would placehold it for the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be able to rejigger it or rework it or even put it somewhere else in the story so that it sounds a little bit better.
I mean, the novel writer's got a scene list on the side, and there's a status for each one. And so I have a single bar if it's a draft one, and there's a sort of gray square if all I've done is written the description of the scene, an outline of some sort. So I just went back to the ones that were gray square and went, okay, does this still fit? Okay, I can write this. Or in the first case, no, I'm not ready for that. I'm not inspired. I'll go down and write this one, decide it's crap, rewrite it, and realize it's actually the one that I skipped.
So you've got some goals for this week, I'm going to assume.
Unfortunately, they're exactly the same as 2 weeks ago, which is at least start writing the ending of this thing.
Well, last week you had something about character development. Have you got all the characters you're looking for?
I think so. I don't recall exactly what there was in the character development that I needed to do there. That's probably why I had that one scene where I was trying to develop the character of one of my detectives. But I don't think it's necessary, So.
And then you had also that you wanted to write some extra scenes. You have more scenes to write, I'm assuming? Besides the ending, but do you have like a bunch of scenes to write? Because if memory serves, you were...
14 scenes in the state new, which means there's like basically... they still need to be written.
So 14 scenes.
Yeah. I have 2 that are outlined, so aside from just, this needs to happen, there's a little bit more detail in there. And 73 in draft 1, which is actually up 4 from the last time I gave you a scene count.
And then you had some torn between these 2 methods. Have you figured out the method or not yet?
Not yet. It's probably going to be a bit of a hybrid. I'm unclear. I'm going to dive into the void and see where it goes.
Well, whoever's watching out there, maybe you can, give Alan some feedback of the way you think he should go. How about that? Just pants it, or over scripted to death.
Yeah. Or there's option 3, which I honestly considered when nothing was happening, which is file it again and write something else.
You know what? Sometimes that could be the way to go if something else is driving you. I have given up on a couple of stories over time.
Yep.
I have half-written stories that, I think I put away for like a month, and then just when I went back to it, I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling this one anymore. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth, I can't remember what her last name is. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Okay. And she also wrote a book called Big Magic, which I recommend to anybody who's... it's not just about writing; it's about creativity. And I ended up listening to it on audiobook because it's one of those things I think we've discussed. I want to read a novel, but anything like self-help or anything, I'm fine listening to Audible at that point. And in Big Magic, she says that sometimes things come to you as an artist, and you want to write these things, and you start writing them, but if you don't give them the oxygen and the energy that they need, they'll find somebody else who does want to write it. So, and it's really interesting because she tells a story about a book that she started writing, and it had like um, very specific uh, timelines and characters and blah blah blah. And then something happened in her life, and she couldn't write it. Like she put it aside,
Mhm.
and then she came back to it and couldn't do it. And then it turns out that one of her good friends, who she'd never talked to about, she doesn't like most people don't talk about what we don't talk as writers. We don't usually talk about exactly what we're writing. We
Right.
don't give you a lot of detail. But she bumps into a friend a conference, a writers conference, and said, "Hey, what are you working on right now?" And it turns out that the friend that she was working on gave uh, gave her exactly the story that she had been working on,
Uh,
as if the muse went, "All right, Elizabeth, you can't write it. I'm going to go to your friend over here and see if she'll write it." So it's really interesting to hear that kind of thing. So
well,
um,
that happens. I mean, the number of people who have done things where it's like, oh man, I wish I'd done that. You know,
yeah,
they're just like, yeah, I was thinking about writing something much like that, and now it's out there and it's done better. Fuck.
yeah. So see what happens. So I guess we should get to this week's hook.
Um, there was,
Unless you've got more to say, because I think you've got your goals here. Work out the method of writing, 14 scenes to write, and write the goddamn ending. That's
yeah,
exactly what I should write in here. Write goddamn
exactly.
ending. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that in there.
goddamn is a weaker word than what I would use, but yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so unless you've got something else you want to add to your goals or anything, I'll move on to
No,
this week's talk.
I think I'm good.
Okay. So last week we ended with programs you use, recommend, or want to try.
Right.
Which would be, things I guess we went with last week, things you couldn't live without as a writer. But now and we never mentioned any programs. We talked about pens, we talked about pads, we talked about hours of the day, we talked about tea. But nobody mentioned any of the programs that we use. And, you know, we're obviously using uh, programs. But that also brings me to Substack. So first of all, let's go with the negative.
Okay.
Why did you decide to abandon Substack? Because I started a Substack years ago, could not figure out Substack to save my ass. I abandoned it completely, and now my wine podcast, a buddy wants to start a Substack.
Right.
And I'm like, why? And he's like, because, and he gives me a whole bunch of reasons. And I said, I'll write stuff on it, but I mean, what are we going to get out of it? So I'm interested to find out, and you hear everybody has a Substack these days. So
Yeah.
what's going on?
Okay. So, I mean, Substack started out as a interesting way for bloggers to potentially monetize what they're doing. Right. You
Yeah.
can have subscribers, and I got into it because a friend of mine who's a photographer was, you know, running around taking pictures and then posting these lovely little essays talking about what he'd seen, and then there's these nice photographs, and it was nice reading, and people went, you don't have a subscription plan. I'd like to subscribe so that you could get some money out of this, right? And that changed the dynamic, right? Now he kind of feels like he has to produce for his subscribers, and I think the rate of his posting is just completely dropped off, and the prose is no longer as inspired as it was when he was just doing it for the love of it.
Yeah.
If you look at, I mean, the reason why I got there in the first place was for the network effect, right? you post stuff and it gets shared within the platform, and maybe you get more people to appreciate what you're doing, and then maybe they subscribe, and then they're in the pipeline of perhaps being people who want to buy your stuff. But to do that, you have to post something on a fairly regular basis, and it has to be interesting. And I just don't have a lot of interesting stuff to post on a regular basis, right? I mean, I post tons of tiny little things on Mastodon, but those aren't essays, right? I mean, sometimes they're close, but they're not fully formed essays. And most of the time, they're not about writing. They're about politics or something else. And I'd like to kind of keep writer persona me somewhat separate from, incredibly pissed off voter me.
Yeah. No, there is something to be said about that.
It's not a positive energy, right? I'd rather keep stuff positive.
There is something to be said for having those two personas. Like I know there's I have a friend who is very successful in business, but then they also put politics on their on their Instagram that is business related, and you're kind of like, I don't know if I'd get into the Palestine-Israel issue on your work thing, because you could be pissing off a ton of people.
As soon as you get onto that topic, you are, right? Because it's so polarized that you can't not piss off somebody.
Right. And so who knows if that's somebody who is going to be a business client or not. It's a double-edged sword, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so all I've posted there for the past several months is links to our podcast.
Okay.
Right? And you can subscribe to the podcast. So and it's also you can post and you wind up pushing out emails. And so I'm committing a sin. I don't know how many small business people I've advised. I've said, when you're marketing, you're not marketing yourself, right? So don't, most people who are in that situation, they don't want to be told things 5 times. They don't want to be reminded. They don't want ads coming in. But all of those things work.
Yep.
And you have to, you got to divorce your personal opinion of doing that, and just get out there and promote your business or your novel or whatever product you have. And so I'm not following my own advice. I'm just like, I can't be sending an email every 2 weeks saying, here's another podcast. All right. Especially since this podcast isn't really for readers. It's for other writers, right?
Yeah, it is.
A reader's going to look at this and go, it's not about the book. Right?
No, it's about the process of that book coming to fruition. Right.
And the people I want on my mailing list are people who want to read the book, right?
Yep.
So strategically, it's doing nothing. It's taking time. And there are other ways for people who want to watch the podcast to subscribe to the podcast.
Well,
so,
all right. Okay.
To hell with it.
I get it. So it's not, my wine podcast buddy wants to put things out like twice a week, and some lighthearted, some, heavier issues, some, and you basically hit that part where you have to post something to do with. So, all right. So it's not, and it's nothing I can use to get out of doing this Substack is basically what you're.
If you've got a decent content factory, and you do, there's always more wine, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to sit here and go, what am I going to come up with, right? Like, I'm having enough trouble finishing this thing. I can't be out there writing backstories of characters and posting them up, or all the other things that people do to kind of engage potential readers in the story. Right? Once it's finished, I can start to do some of that. But I don't feel
I find it
comfortable doing
I
it.
find it very hard to people get into marketing. And put it this way: if I have a book out there, yes, I know I'm gonna have to market it, but
Right.
I don't want to. I am of a person who doesn't like to inundate people with, you know, some of these companies that send you 3 emails a day.
Yeah.
Buy our stocks, buy our shoes, buy our whatever. You're like, sooner or later, you end up deleting them, but not unsubscribing because you think, well, I am going to buy a pair of Skechers again, so
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
want to
in
miss
the unsubscribe. Yep.
the sale, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I'm going to miss the sale. So, all right, well, I guess I'll just delete it this time because I don't need shoes.
Well,
But when I do need shoes, I gotta wait.
you can set up filters that say if it doesn't say sale, put it in the
Well, they all
trash.
say sale. That's the problem,
Well,
right? They
yeah,
all want to
but
sell you something.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah,
So programs that you use that you maybe even a program like Substack where you decide I want nothing to do with it. You've
right.
tried it, you hated it, but yeah.
I
So we're
didn't
looking
hate
at
it. I
programs.
just don't think I was using it well.
Okay. Listen.
Yeah.
So
Um.
yeah,
So let's.
programs that you would use that you think are good, or ones you've used and you thought I could do without.
Okay. Well, top of my list is Novel Writer, uh,
Okay.
which I use to write my stories, and
Okay.
that's. I mean, I've got Scrivener, and
Yeah.
the problem with Scrivener is, I'm trying to move everything I can over to Linux, and running Scrivener inside a Windows emulator, blah blah blah. It looks like it's unreliable at best. And as a software developer, there's a pile of things that I need to work together, and whenever something gets updated, then it runs the risk of breaking something else, right? So we call this a tool chain, right?
Yeah.
And making sure everything keeps working is tool chain maintenance. And it's a pain in the ass to do tool chain maintenance because it means, like, your car's broken and you can't go anywhere. So you have to fix the car. So it may be possible to run Scrivener under Linux, but it's one of those things where I could see the potential for too much toolchain maintenance. So I started looking for something
My
else.
understanding is Scrivener is very good on Apple. It works okay on PC.
It's pretty
Or
good
maybe
on
they
a
fixed
PC.
that by
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
it was designed for Apple to begin with. That
Yeah.
was my understanding.
They had a Linux version many moons ago, and then they abandoned it, right? And it's like, it's funny. A couple of different people who had Linux ports have just gone, nah, we're not supporting that anymore. At exactly the same time that more people are moving to Linux desktops.
Yeah, I know a few people who moved to
Yeah,
Linux. So
yeah.
that's
Yeah, you got in too early, and then you got out too early. Yeah, it's funny.
So novel writer and or Scrivener, but I'm not a Scrivener person. I never even worked on Scrivener because when I started a few years ago, basically everybody was saying you've got to have an Apple to really use Scrivener properly, and I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
So
It's good. It's more visual. Like, you can set up cards and things, but I can do everything I need in Novel Writer. It's strictly text-based, right? It outputs stuff to Word files and does a reasonably good job of that. And Veronica, the woman who's the primary developer on it, keeps adding new features that make it more powerful. And she's trying to run a fine line between, making it do too much and too little. And I think she's doing a very good job of that. Yeah.
so my program for that is Dabble. And I find them the same thing. They're doing a fine line between making it, doing things and keeping it clean. The only thing I have a problem with Dabble is there are things that it does that I obviously, as with everybody, I don't use the program to its utmost. Basically, I'm just putting my novel into it, and it can do more. But because it keeps itself so clean, There's a lot of control blah 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 like on Word that you could use. It's not like it's got a toolbar at the top.
Right.
It's all hidden within the basis. So you have to go Control 41. It'll do this. Well, that's a lot of shit to remember, right? I don't
Right.
have
Right.
and unless
Yeah.
I have a crib sheet somewhere, I'm not going to remember how to do things. Like the other day, I was looking for, and I hate when I do this. I could not remember. I changed a character's name,
Ah.
so I knew what the name was, but I needed their last name as well. So I'm like, where did I put that name? So I did the Control F. I put it in. Nothing popped up, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Sooner or later, I did figure it out, but
Control
I
Shift F.
could have been a lot quicker and easier for me.
Right.
So don't change characters' names. That's probably
Yeah, I've done that. It's fairly easy to do a global search, so that's not that bad.
But
Uh,
all right, so those are our writing softwares which we use.
yeah, and one of the key things about Novel Writer is it's open source. It's written in Python, a programming language I am not super good at, but I'm functional in. So it can't be enshittified, right? Like
Yeah.
with your application, somebody can decide. Like Scrivener can go, "Oh, this is a competitive product, and we don't like it. We're going to buy them, and then we'll make a bunch of promises about all sorts of nice things, and then they'll say, here, this is how you port to Scrivener, and then a year after that, it'll be okay. Your program's discontinued, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That happens all the goddamn time. So
Yeah.
that can't happen here because I have a copy of the source code.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. Well, you could make it happen. So there. Yeah.
So if if the author decides that she doesn't want to write code and doesn't want to write novels and wants to go and live on a farm in Sri Lanka with no internet,
Who doesn't
um,
these days? Can't get gas, but you probably are safer there.
maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Go on.
Then that's fine. It doesn't really impact me, right?
Yeah.
So that's a key feature for me. I mean, the fact that it's also nerdy and I'm a nerd, and the language you use to create your novel is Markdown, which is something that developers use all the time, and it's accessible for your average person, right? It's very easy to say, okay, if I put a star at the beginning of the line, type something, it comes into a bullet point, right? So that's that. The other thing about it is, if you look at a Scrivener file, it's some closed proprietary thing. You could probably spend hours and disassemble it and pull the information that's in there out without using Scrivener. But in Novel Writer, everything is stored in plain text files and XML files. So I can go and write a program that pulls all that data out and does with it what I choose. Right?
Now, you're talking from the viewpoint of a guy who's written code.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Like myself, I've never written a code. Am I? And I wouldn't know. Like if they suddenly said, "Okay, Novel Writer is not working anymore. We're gonna sell it to Scrivener, and good luck to you. And become a Scrivener subscriber, pay their money, and good luck to you." Like, how am I affected? You're not affected because you go, okay, I got the source code. I can create it again.
Well,
how would somebody like me who doesn't know source code from a hole in the ground
so
deal
what's most likely to happen in that scenario is either I or some of the other users who are developers will go, hey, you know what? I've got a fork of Novel Writer. I'm going to maintain that. So instead of downloading Novel Writer, download Novel Composer.
Yeah.
Right.
So somebody else has created this.
Yeah, somebody else.
Programming again.
Either like
And are you allowed to
there's,
do that? Because now suddenly somebody's bought Novel Writer.
but it's open source.
And look,
You
it
have
could
a
happen to me
license,
too. Dabble could be sold to so and so,
right?
and I could be up Schitt's Creek without a
It's
paddle
gone.
myself.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you protect yourself against that?
This is licensed open source, which means I have permission to take it and either run it as is separately, send the source out to other people, or modify it in any way I choose. And
Scrivener buys it, let's say.
But
now they say you can't. It's not open source anymore. Boom! It's
the license says I can.
all right. I guess.
Right? And this has happened a couple of times, right? Somebody's gone, oh yeah, we're going to acquire this and make it go away. One of the most commonly used databases in the web world, MySQL. Oracle bought MySQL for a huge chunk of money and started doing things to MySQL that some people didn't like. Another group of people, including some of the founders of MySQL, took the code, called it MariaDB, and carried on as MariaDB, which is what I use.
So how do you, like, I guess, do they, now we're getting into the nitty gritty, and we're almost coming up to an hour here, so I don't want to drive everybody crazy.
This
so
is true.
We'll continue this hook next time. Let's start that, because we did our novel, we did our writers.
Okay, getting back on track.
Software.
So
let's put a pin in the other software that we use for next time.
Okay.
But I do have one more question.
Okay.
So when such a thing as whatever you had mentioned turns into MariaDB, how do you find that out?
Oh, the community knows, right? You just do a web search.
What happens if I'm not part of? I had the software. Now I don't have the software because I realize Oracle's bought it. I'm just some guy who found it, was using it. Now I realize that Oracle's got it. I don't want to use it anymore.
So
I disappear.
You go to Google and you type MySQL alternative. Press enter.
Oh, and it'll pop up. Yeah, I guess. All right. Okay. All right. I guess Google knows everything.
Actually, Google seems to know less and less. I had something I was really searching for. I was Quant is my default search engine right now. I got a bunch of stuff that was, hit my search terms, but wasn't what I really wanted. I went to Google, and it's just like, you have no results for that query. It's like, well, I found them over here on Quant.
It seems that I was looking for something the other day that I had watched on YouTube. So I figured if I watched it once, and a buddy of mine wanted to see it, it was about hockey. I knew what it was about, and I just kept putting stuff in the search line, and it just kept giving me other stuff I hadn't seen. I'm like, no, show me the thing I saw.
So the trick there
do that.
Is in Google, there's a thing that says tools, and then you go down for results, and you select verbatim results.
Yeah.
And then, I know this is weird, but it only gives you pages that actually contain your search terms. I don't know why a search engine would do that.
That's bizarre. So before we close, because I said we're getting close, but I mean we'll do the next time we're going to talk about the other programs that we use, because there are other things that I use besides Dabble. You use other things besides Novel Writer, and then there's other ones that maybe we've looked at and have contemplated. So we'll talk about that. But I know this week that in California, Meta and YouTube lost they did lost a lawsuit based on making this time somebody sued them for making something that was basically addictive,
right?
And knowing that it was wrong. Can you give me a one sentence if you want, you can use a couple of semicolons to make it a longer sentence, but your thoughts on that really quickly as a developer.
Okay. It's going to get appealed. It's going to get appealed. It's going to go to Trump's kangaroo court. And it's going to get turned over.
All right. Let's see what happens.
Because
Okay.
America is screwed.
Oh, in more ways than one. Sorry, America. That's just. It's
I feel sorry for it.
Accompli.
Yeah, but hopefully everybody comes out okay in the end.
Yeah, that's what I hope for too. Well, that'll end us for this week. If you want to give us any feedback, if you think America is screwed, put it in the comment section. We're happy to. Well, not happy to hear about it, but I mean, all empires crumble. And as I was watching a British comedian, he basically said, "Join us, America," and being a failed empire. So there you go.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
So much for keeping politics out of it.
Yeah, well, it's got to sneak in every so often. Okay, cheers.
Right. Take care.